This is a content warning. This is a trigger warning. You have now tuned in to Hard Knock Logic Podcast. If you are listening to this podcast at work or around children, I suggest your ass put on headphones.
I'm always going to have fear skepticism. I can't force myself to see contradiction when reality tells me otherwise.
And nowhere and at no time are we trained how to turn a fact into knowledge, knowledge into wisdom, and wisdom into insight.
I'm always going to have fear skepticism.
One of the great challenges in life is knowing enough to think you're right, but not enough to know you're wrong.
I'm always going to have fear skepticism.
If we are going to emerge as adults, no longer susceptible to charlatans.
Yes.
Okay? Who are either well-meaning and just misguided, or who are explicitly exploiting your ignorance.
I can't force myself to see contradiction when reality tells me otherwise.
And welcome to the Hard Knock Logic Podcast. We are back in the studio with D and Lady T. And I'm gonna let D, no, nigga, don't sing. Don't do that.
I was about to blow a vocal boy.
Oh,
So
man.
we gonna lead off this show with, what's his name? Jesse
Smollett.
Smollett. And at this point in time, he has turned himself in. Charges have been filed, stemming from him false accusations like creating a hate crime. Me personally, I really don't have a dog in that fight. I really don't have any feelings here or there. I have more pity. Like, why would you do that? Like,
I see.
you were very talented. Like, I watch Empire, like, you were a talented actor. Like, I bought your character. You're definitely a talented singer. Why would you just fuck your whole career up like that? They're like, I don't know if there's a get back for that shit. I don't know if he could come back.
I definitely think his career in Hollywood is over. Like, at least for the next 30 years, he is not getting a role on anything. And then maybe he'll get onto Hallmark when he comes back.
30 years, that's a long fucking time.
He's going to be an old head at that point. And then it's like, people won't even associate him with that anymore because he looks completely different. So that's the only time he'll be able to come back, in my opinion. But yeah, not only did he fuck it up for himself, but I feel like he ruined it for everybody else in the meantime.
I mean, but you know what's funny is that's the same shit that Rachel Dolezal did. Like, you know, kind of crafted some fucking hate crimes against herself.
Oh, she did?
Yeah, that's
I
what...
thought the only thing she did was she was in the NAACP and she was like a leader in there, and she's Caucasian.
I think she was the president
Yeah.
of the NAACP. I mean, but see, okay, this was fucked up. There are people who are not African American who are in the NAACP, who work there, who have high positions.
Okay. But not the president.
What got her... Yeah, I mean...
Oh, because she tried to...
No.
Her appearance.
When she had created the, like, the hate crimes...
Yeah.
And shit like that, the investigative reporters who were looking into it felt something was off, and they began to investigate her. And during the interview, she got busted out, and that's what kicked it all off.
Oh, in the interview, they found out that she was actually just a white person?
No, they figured that out before, but during the interview, that's when they were like, are you... Is this really your father? She was like, I don't understand why are you asking me? How do you identify? And, you know, all of that. And yeah, busted her out.
Oh, God.
And it all kicked off from there.
Wow.
So, I feel bad for her. You know, her whole life got fucked up. And that's the thing about when shit pops off today.
Everybody knows about it.
It's just not that everybody knows about it, but you could damn near go homeless, lose everything behind that, because it's not hard to become like a social pariah to where people won't hire you. You just can't do nothing and you're fucked.
I mean, I don't feel bad for when they be calling out those racists on videos and then they lose their job. I feel like that's perfectly fine for me.
Where do you go from that though? Right? Imagine you're a white person.
Like, you don't think their opinion is going to change after all that?
I believe you could take a white person who really don't know a minority group, who kind of maybe grew up with some shit, and who definitely will use like racial slurs when angry or in an argument. I think you can definitely radicalize them by destroying their whole life. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I see your point, yeah. Mm-hmm.
yeah, you could be in an argument. You could be racist or not racist. You could just say some racial shit in the heat of an argument, right? I think we have lost sight at the fact that as a black person, as a white person, as a Hispanic or whatever, when you are in a confrontation with somebody and you are hurling obscenities and you are hurling hurtful things in this argument, you're going to say things that are hurtful. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I'm not a racist person, but I have definitely hurled racial slurs at people in an argument. But if you take one of those people and you strip them of everything without a way back, you can definitely radicalize them to begin to really harbor hatred, anger, and resentment.
I mean, has hate ever solved hate? It's a good question. Because it's really like, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I've seen videos of people saying, oh, I met this racist, he was part of a white supremacist group, and I just came to him with compassion and I talked to him, and then he ended up like, you know, denouncing his white supremacist group, and then he like changed his mind and everything, and he was like, yeah, no one ever showed me that kind of compassion before, so I never really like, you know, thought about it in like a rational way. And then he was pretty much talking about like his experience on his side, like, oh, you know, when I march in these rallies and then, you know, people throw bottles at me, like protesting against what he's trying to say, like as a white supremacist, he's like, that's never changed my mind, it's just made me like angrier. And I kind of I see his point, because it does make sense. I can't think of a time where like, you know, I mean, that might instill fear in somebody and make them not want to express themselves in like fear of retaliation. But I don't think it would genuinely change their mind.
That is where a lot of racism, the seeds of racism come from. You're scared of somebody. You're scared of this group harming, taking over, removing power or whatever from your group. You know what I'm saying?
Just as we're talking, there's been a PSA on social media. You might want to read this really quick. Read this out loud for me, Bobby.
I don't have glasses.
Okay, read this out loud for me, Tiffany.
Oh, okay, I can't read.
Oh, she got glasses.
You gonna have to bleep that out.
Oh. Pioneer Square, downtown Portland. Oh. Pioneer Square, downtown Portland, group of white men wearing Nazi insignia and MAGA hats presumed to have parked there and walking around as of 2 p.m. February 22nd.
And then read the bottom left.
Not surprised, but shaking my head, and people still refuse to see correlation between Trump and Nazis.
It's crazy. We were just talking about that.
Now,
I completely agree.
this is the thing, and I know this is where I am at odds with most black people in this country. I can't get mad because you are hardcore in your team. You know, especially this generation and like these this generation of like social justice warrior, this concept of we all can come together and all of that. Never the fucking human history has that ever happened. It just hasn't. Human beings don't function like that. We're a tribal animal.
We're very, like, we group ourselves and we're social. Yeah.
And the fact that I don't really give a shit about white supremacists. I don't really give a shit about the MAGA month. That's your team. Say whatever for your team. Vote. Be whatever political party for your team.
But don't you think it's not like a very more broader and like detrimental scale than just like it's your team?
No, it's a team. It's a team. And
It is a team, but it's like very deep rooted.
Yeah. I mean, the fact is, like, I think people really have this assumption that, like, when you look at a white supremacist group, the very first feeling is you don't fucking like me. That's where the first feeling as a minority or a homosexual or something that you get, they don't like me.
Yeah.
Then within that feeling, and this is a matter of seconds, they don't like me. They want to harm me. They want me dead. They want me gone. And it is all these feelings because these fucking people don't like you. They want you gone. But yet they seem to be able to rally their team and be a lot more effective than you. As a tacticianer, I don't really believe that a lot of this shit I see social justice warriors doing really has any long-term real fucking effect.
But don't you think that, like, it's not as simple as saying, oh, they rally their team better, so therefore they are doing shit better than us? Because it's more complicated than that. It's like they've taken over, like, prisons, police.
That's not rallying your team better? You're
Just put
standing
into
out
very
on the
simple
side of the
terms.
street with signs to protest, and you grew up and you want to get legislation and bills passed. These motherfuckers have rallied their team in such a way they are the fucking government structure. Period. They are the sheriff. They're not all cops, but they are damn near. They are damn sure the backbone of the police force. Like, you got all these good cops that become cops to protect and serve and all of that shit.
And
But underneath those cops is this structure, the skeletal structure of these people who, this is our country.
I mean, that's why so many things began swept under the rug. It's just like all this shit disappears, like, especially if it involves a police officer or a police officer's family had done something. Like, it's like almost nothing, like regular people can almost do nothing about it because it's like they paid off the autopsy group.
Not just that. You know why they'll win and you won't? They're not afraid to fucking kill you. When it comes to the human race, the planet, when it comes to real power and control, people who are not afraid to fucking murder you end up winning. Why? Because they can rally up fear in a way that you can't. Like protesters and shit, a lot of the reasons why Americans protest in the manner they do, there's no fear that you'll get mowed down by machine guns. Yeah, our police will militarize and they'll mace up motherfuckers and they'll beat your ass with batons, but it's not like a foreign country where they would literally open fire and massacre a whole crowd of people. We know that's not our country. So there is a bravery that can be had in that. You know what I mean? You'll mace me, you'll baton me, you'll arrest me. I can kind of lick my wounds, get back up, and recover from that. But the fact is, these groups, whether it's white supremacists, Nazis, the alt-right, whatever, we're not really looking at what the core of this shit is. It's my team against your team. Even this immigration shit, white people are looking at, look, there's too many of them outnumbering my team. We can complicate it with all kind of social words and all of that, but it really comes down to that. It's the same as why the fuck they didn't want white people and black people breeding. You will decrease my numbers as a fucking unit. Period.
Yeah.
Now, they've been able to win with that shit. In the Northwest, 9 times out of 10, when you're biracial, you're just fucking white. The partner you have is white. The lifestyle you lead is white. The culture you submerge yourself in is white. The people you hang around is white. All you know is white.
It depends, but it happens, yeah. It does happen.
What you over there looking at? You done dropped out the conversation.
Yeah, you're MIA. Where did you go?
Because I can make a couple controversial statements right now, man, but I'm just taking it all in.
Are you centering yourself? Is that what you're doing?
Centering myself? What do you mean? Definition.
You said I can make a couple controversial statements, but I'm gonna just take it all in.
I'm just gonna, yeah.
Which means you're going to refrain and censor what you really are thinking.
Well,
Are you refraining yourself, Yandy?
You gonna make me do it. No, so what I feel, I think the basis is, I had a conversation actually with my cousin, kind of similar to this, not too long ago. We were talking about how he made a big statement. He said, what was it that, he said, white people, what was it that white people did differently that these God-given men with these muscular attributes and physical powers, talking about black folks, could possibly, like, what did they do differently? And he said, I sat there and thought about it for a second. And I said, because me, I'm all about mentality. Your mentality, your attitude towards things is always going to get you above and beyond. I said, what is it? They mind? It gotta be the mind. He said, exactly. He said, for these times, they have been smarter than us. They have simply outsmarted us, is what he said.
What time period are you talking about?
He's talking about in general. I'm talking about in general. The fact that I know that okay, what's the word I'm going to use? I know that over there, they have all of these things that they offer. So I need to come up with something different to be able to come on top, right? That's what every team, every person, every body does when they're going against a form of a competitor, right? You go against another, like say for instance for me, for football, if you know the defense isn't fast, you throw over the top every time, like freaking Tyreek Hill or freaking whatever fast receiver, right? Antonio Brown or whatever it is. Throw over the top, he outruns you, catches the ball, touchdown. Easy. Every time. Tyreek Hill may be a terrible example to use at this moment. I'm not saying I support what he did at all, but I'm just talking about his speed here. Okay? I'm talking about his speed. All right? I couldn't think of another...
This is not a politically correct podcast. You know?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So you come up with a plan. You devise a plan. You execute that plan, and when the plan works, you're like, "Yeah, we did that." Like basically running trick plays. It's almost like you know the team. Okay, I know this team is about to run a cover two. So then I run a trick play, and then I basically get on top of the receiver or get on top of the defense, and I score a touchdown. It's as simple as that.
You're almost right.
What you mean?
This is another thing black people don't like to hear me say. The reason why black people are losing is they're not losing. The problem with black people is there is no fucking problem. If you break down everything, poverty, drugs, infant mortality rate, education, there are far more poor white people than poor black people in this country. There are more white drug addicts than black drug addicts. There are actually more white people in prison than black people in prison. There are, like, when you look down the line, we don't really have a problem. What happened to us is we have been sold
Psychologically.
and this is the thing, and this is what black people, this is what black people really don't look at in general. White people in this country and black people have been sold the same thing. The same way black people believe that there is some finish line that we have to cross. There is some unity that we have to have. We gotta come together. We gotta stop this black on black violence, and we gotta support black businesses, and we gotta do all of these things to cross this imaginary finish line, right? White people have been sold the same thing. That's how Trump got in office. Poor white people believe somehow they have to unite. They got to come together. They got to get the coal back, the manufacturing jobs, and these are problems that they're suffering from. And some type of unity between them is going to get them across some type of finish line. The fact that I take issue with people like Tariq Nasheed, Killer Mike, Dr. Umar Johnson, and all of these people, even David Banner, they keep selling people these philosophies of our problems. 2016, 2017, black women was the highest educated group of people in this country. Where are we losing? Black men, for the last damn near 10 years, have shown to be more active fathers than any other racial group in this country. We have been sold images that aren't even fucking true. We got more black men in prison than in college. Never ever in the history of America has that number been true. We have never had more black men in prison than we had in college. We have never outranked anybody on welfare. We don't have a fucking problem. The second we realize we don't have a problem and we begin to operate freely on that, that's what the fuck the game changer is. We're still being sold this what wealth we don't have, what education we don't have, what knowledge we don't have. We look in our own community and we see youngsters and gangbangers and drug dealers, and we feel like that is such an overwhelming thing that we don't look that white people are just inundated with that as we are. Asians in this country are just as inundated with drug dealers and gangs as we are. Hispanics, just as much gangs and drugs as we are. Because of slavery and coming out of slavery in our history here, that has made us believe in certain problems, right? And we have carried those problems past beyond their existence, right? So we all know systemic racism exists. We all know racism exists in the financial world, and we all know it exists in the housing market. That's what created the whole fucking housing crash and all of that. Like, we know these exist, but the way that we talk about them never lends us to be able to strategically attack those things correctly. When you do this whole we thing, and we need to do this and we need to do that, it's because we look at other races with these rose-colored glasses like they all have some type of level of unity and education that we don't have. And that's really not fucking true. Now, I will say we tend to not, and this is going to the strategy, because we tend to not strategize correctly, because we tend to not really look at the board. Like, we're the only ones in this country that want to play by different rules than what the fuck everybody else is playing by. Economics, wealth, money, and power operate on very basic fucking rules. Every group that's from here or comes here plays by those rules, and they come up. We got an issue with Asian people because they come here and then they open up these liquor stores and black hair care stores and mid-Ks, and, you know, we look at them and go, we should be doing that. And, you know, how they come, because when they come over here, they play by the rules. Credit, accounts, saving. They go through the strategies of getting these businesses off the ground. They do what they gotta do. We keep talking about these fucking problems. And I'll give you an example. Back home, I had a homegirl who, that was her thing. She was in the hair, she was a beautician and all of that. And she always talked about how the fucking Asians cornered the market and all of this and that. I said, why don't you just do this shit yourself? Like your nigga pushing keys. This nigga could put 20 grand in your hand for you to bust a move. Well, I can't this and I can't that. This is what I did simply. I went to my homeboy, his baby mama is Chinese. She speaks 2 dialects of Chinese, Mandarin and whatever the fucking other main shit was. I asked her, I said, how much would it cost for you to just be a mediator? Like, I broke it down to her. You know, I just need you to be a mediator between these wholesale companies and this one, right? So she was able to, my homegirl was able to partner with this Asian woman and use her as a mediator. So all of the wholesale companies that she was buying from believed that the company they were selling to was a Chinese company. Nigga, that's business. That's a strategy. When I first started my eBay store and I was selling laptops and shit, I had my picture on my eBay store and all of that, and I would always get questions like, how do I know it's not stolen? Does it, you know, all of these like negative, I'm a criminal ass questions for these laptops that I was selling. So I went on a stock photo site and I bought 12 photos of the same white guy in a suit holding a laptop, blazer, you know, he draped it over his shoulder, holding the laptop a certain way. And I used those on my site. I never got another question about a stolen laptop or none of that. The only questions I was getting is, hey, this is for my son. Can you gift wrap it? Or if I buy it from you, can you send it to another address? My daughter's in college. I only got them questions after that. I don't need anybody to see my real face for me to run a real business. These are strategies that we never want to employ. Do you know how many white people don't have a fucking problem with being your face for whatever fucking company you doing? How many fucking people know that Victoria's Secrets is a black woman's company? Did you know that?
I didn't know.
It's not a white woman's company. It's not a white person's company. But it has a white face. But it's still a black business. We don't want to play by the rules because, and this is one of those religion things, African Americans have been sold Christianity as such a high and deep rate that it really dictates how we move and how we make money moves. Because shit like that for a lot of black people is, oh, that's against my integrity and I would never, okay, well, sink. That's your choice. When you look at the fact that Bill Gates first worked for Steve Jobs before Windows launched, at one of Steve Jobs, at one of Apple's conventions, while Steve Jobs is there and Bill Gates is there, Bill Gates launches Windows in China first. The fact that Apple wouldn't really exist unless they didn't steal the fucking mouse from Macintosh. The fact that Henry Ford didn't invent a car, even though he's credited for revolutionizing automotive. He invented the assembly line process. He didn't invent the fucking car. The rules that they play by are rules we just choose not to play by. Nigga, you trying to play football by basketball rules. Everybody else is playing by the rules. They're ducking, they're cutting. The whole invention of the corporation is to fucking undercut. I don't know how many Americans realize that corporations are taxed on the money that they have at the end of a fiscal year, not the profits that they make. That's another reason why shareholders and shares come about. Because when I go public with this company and it's chopped up into shares, at the end of the fiscal year, the corporation really doesn't have any actual money because all the profits are split up amongst shareholders and bonuses are paid, and your corporations are really seeking to bleed out all of the money out of the company by the end of the year because no one person owns the fucking company. So everybody involved in this corporation, from shareholders, CEOs, CFOs, board of directors, are getting their piece, their profit of the company. The company really has no money and is paying bare minimum taxes at the end of the year. That's why you see a lot of people, or individually wealthy white people, everything they own is actually owned by their corporation. Their car is a corporate car. Their clothes are corporate expenses. Everything is written off in business expenses. I have a cousin. He was in the stock market. When he came out of West Point, he was in the stock market for like, I don't know, 10, 11 years, and then he left and he went into real estate, right? He owns like 20 apartment complexes in New Jersey outright. When I went to him, I was like, a lot of the family would come to him and be like, oh, I got $5,000, I got this, we can, when I came to him, I was like, nigga, just teach me what you know. And he was like, what? I'm like, look, I know you busy, but if you could, can we just have a conversation every once in a while, nigga, so you could just teach me what you know? And he was like, you sure you just don't want me to put some money somewhere for you? Like take your money and, no, just teach me what you know. He was like, you know, you're the first person in the family to ask me that. He said, I'm gonna fuck with you. So we started having conversations, and he really started busting my perceptions wide open, right? He says, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna give you 2 homework assignments. When you finish that, call me. If you don't finish it, don't call me. And I was like, well, that's kind of fucked up. He said, no, you just asked me for something. You asked me to teach you. And in the process of teaching, there's good consequences and bad consequences. This is your homework. If you don't finish this homework, don't fuck with me. You flaky. He had me read The Richest Man in Babylon and Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Those 2 fucking pieces of literature cracked my perception of money and wealth wide the fuck open. There were things I had seen from my father's side of the family, which are upper middle class, affluent side of my family. And even though I didn't spend like a lot of my life with them, when I was kind of in and out of the East Coast with them, like I would see things and hear things and be around things, but it wasn't until I got those 2 pieces of literature that the dots started to connect for me, right? So I finished those 2 books, I called him, and then the conversation started. And as he started teaching me about investment property and how buying a home is a liability and why and all of these different things, I just was so intrigued with what he was saying. And he said his next homework assignment was, he said, I want you to go on loopnet.com. I want you to find an apartment building and I want you to fill out the application, you know, for financing. And I'm like, because I'm still in the mindset of credit score, income, down payment, all that shit, like if you were trying to buy a home, right? And he's like, no, I want you to do exactly what I'm telling you to do. So I went on LoopNet and I was looking through the properties, maybe for like a week. Then I said, fuck it, let me just fill out this application. Now I started seeing different shit. They wanted to know where it was located, how close were schools, what the crime rate was, what the market rate rent was, and all these different things. So I had to click out of the application and I really had to look at a specific piece of property. So at the time, it was an apartment building on 7th in Pennsylvania on the other side of my neighborhood. And I got all the information together. Elementary, junior high, high school, proximities to the building, market rate rent, and all these different things. And I went back and I was able to finish the application online. The next day I got a call and I'm talking to the guy, and what fucked me up, I could have had that building. I did not have the $10,000 to gap the loan. What that did for me mentally was like an automatic sink, right? You feel like, fuck, how the fuck am I gonna just get up $10,000? This is another one of those things that are out of my reach. So I called my cousin Michael and I'm like, Mike, like what? You know, I knew I wasn't gonna get this shit, but he said, I knew you wasn't gonna get it either. But I wanted you to see how close you got. And I'm like, I needed to have like $10,000 to gap this loan or I couldn't get the financing. He was like, now I get to tell you how close you were. So now he proceeds to tell me how when he's looking at a building, right? And I'm just going to kind of abbreviate this and you'll be able to get what I'm saying. He has a list of contractors that are highest rates in the city. when he steps to the owners of the building, say they want $650,000 for this apartment building. He says, I'll pay you the $650,000, no negotiation, no down. I'll pay you what your asking price is, but you got to cover repairs. He says 9 times out of 10, they're like, cool, because the repairs don't really come from them, it comes from the bank, right? So, from your loan, right? So, when he comes with the estimate of repairs, this is an estimate from this list of plumbers, termite inspectors, all of these people that are the highest in the city. So this quote is jacked up quite a few $1,000s, right? So the bank cuts him a check for the repairs. He has a loan for the building that pays off the owner of the building. That check is part of that is what he pays to gap the loan for the money he has to put down. So out of that check, he's putting down what he's supposed to put down out of that, and with the rest of it, he has a list of contractors that he actually works with, and that he's been working with. So he calls his contractors to actually come do the repairs. And after that, and then, it's a lot more detail to that because this is over maybe like a week conversation, a couple of conversations throughout a week. I was floored. Now I realize how close I was to owning that building. This is another thing that shifted my perception of what I could do, right? When you look at the rules, you look at how people play this game, you could want to change them all you want. You could want to shift shit around and make things fair. That's just, life has never been fair. Fairness in life is a very intrinsic philosophy that we want to aspire to. And I'm not saying we shouldn't aspire to that, but what I'm saying is it's just not a reality that exists on a large scale. Fairness exists between individuals and small groups, right? Fairness exists. I can do business with you individually on a fair scale. Equal exchange, no rivalry. But when you look at capitalism, you look at the world market, fairness is not how this is played. Having information the other person doesn't have. Having it in the other person doesn't have. Having some specific knowledge on something that somebody else doesn't have. That cutting edge is what gets you over. When people talk to me about stocks and why I invest and how I invest and all that shit, I tell them, if you got morals, making money in the stock market ain't for you. It's not. You don't make money. I'll put it like this. You don't make an annual extra income off charity funds. You just don't. You know what I'm saying? My money goes into Bob Barker. My money goes into Monsanto's. My money goes into Consolidation Brands, which is a fucking huge alcohol conglomerate that owns a whole bunch of wine companies and Corona and beer companies and shit like that. My money goes into places that are not the most moral. Why? Because human beings, we like shit. We like fucked up shit. We like to get drunk. We like to eat bad food. We like to go to jail. You know what I'm saying? Like, we do shit that's fucked up. That makes more money. It's just the way it is. Now, I'm not going to say I've never had a moral conflict with how I invest. Well, I don't invest my money into private prisons. What I do
Not
is
directly.
I invest in a construction company that has pretty much gotten the majority of the bids to build prisons in this country. So that's what that is. But I got a choice to be morally conflicted about how I make this money, or I could take this money and do right by my children, put my children above board. You know what I'm saying? And the fact that when it comes to money, you can't be lazy, right? So right now I'm working with a couple people as a financial consultant, right? Young people. So I'm telling them, if I knew at your age what I know, I would have been able to retire way earlier. I would just be above board in the game. You know what I'm saying? So one of the young people at the job, she wants to build her credit, right? I tell her, you have no credit. The first thing you need to do. And then she was like, well, I was going to do this. No, I don't know who the fuck is telling you that. Don't do that. Go to your bank because you have a bank account. Get a secured credit card. Secured credit card is you give them $200, $300, $400, $500 because different banks have a different like security holding for the secured credit card. But say like Bank of America is usually $300, right? You give them $300, you get a credit card. Your limit on the credit card is $300. You can never go over and you can never really not pay. So if you default, say you charge up $300, you're like, fuck it, I'm not paying. It's not really a bad mark because they already have the $300. You can't go over that. But what it allows you to do is you have a credit card that you can now make purchases with and pay off to start building your credit score with. At the end of a year, it's most likely a year, right? You get the $300 back because you have proven I can buy and pay off. That's just what credit is. You know what I'm saying? You give me this and I can pay it on time. If you're 18 and you get a secured credit card from any fucking bank and you buy 2 things a month, doesn't matter how much it is. The amount of what you buy has no effect on your credit score whatsoever. You buy 2 things a month. One $5 item, one $10 item. So now at the end of the month, when your bill is due, you're looking at $15 plus whatever interest. But say you got 23.5% or 19% interest, but that's really nothing on $15. You know what I'm saying? You pay that off every month. Like you're clearing the balance, because that's a big thing too. Like a lot of time people are just paying the bare minimum, and then there's a rollover that they have every month, right? But if you're buying like $20 worth of shit and you're clearing your balance every month, by the end of a year, at the age of 19 now, you could have a credit score in the 700s, period. But it also takes discipline. People go to college, every bank in the world want to give you a goddamn credit card. On top of the fucking student loans and all of that shit, you're creating this fucking debt, this slavery that is absolutely fucked up. But to make money, to prepare yourself to make real money moves, it takes discipline. You know, I wear a black shirt every day. The black shirt I wear, just a plain black t-shirt, is a symbol on many, many levels. Partly, I do it because my mother was a Panther. She passed away as part of me honoring her. But it's also departing from brands. It's a mental departing of having to look a certain way. It's a mental departing of having to, you know, adhere to fashion and all of what the fuck that cost. You know, because when I was younger and I was in the game, nigga, I had alligator shoes and mink coats and, you know, spent thousands of dollars on a fucking outfit and chains and all to the wind. Every time I went to jail, I get out, like I gotta re-cop half the shit that I lost. Just a whole. You know what I mean? So, getting that discipline, right? Looking at how much does my life cost every month? Rent, PG&E, bills, water, insurance, whatever. Adding all of that up, looking at how much I make, and really looking at where I can begin to move money. Where can I maximize my money? That is very important. Looking at what do you spend day to day? How many times in a week do you go to an ATM? How many times am I giving this other bank $2.50 to take money out because that ATM is just closer to me? Would it really make more sense for me to go to my bank Monday morning, take out $200-300 to have that cash to be able to make maneuvers through the week so I don't have to keep going to fucking ATMs? You know, just different things like that. Start calculating and strategizing how you spend your money. Start looking at ways that you can generate money from different avenues, whether, regardless of whatever the fuck it is. You know what I'm saying? Really paying attention to stocks. You know, one of the main things that I've ended up having to really reiterate to people. So I didn't realize people didn't know how stocks work. When I started having conversations with people the last couple of years, I realized, oh, people only know stocks and making money on stocks is, oh, the stock was $10. I bought a couple stocks, the company blew up, and they were like $150 or $1,000, and then that's not how you make wealth from stocks. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can make a hit. You watch all these movies, Wolf of Wall Streets and all of that, they make massive amounts of quick money, right? But how many of the movies do you see where motherfuckers don't end up in the penitentiary at the end? Be real. When you're trying to acquire extra money, when you're trying to acquire a fucking check in the mail, well, actually a deposit into your investment account every quarter, you are looking at the dividend payout and you are looking at when that pays out. Yesterday, I was talking to somebody and I was explaining to them, because she was like, well, can't you lose all your money if you buy stock? No. You don't sell stock. Like, yeah, you lose all your money if the company goes out of business, but if I buy Apple stock at fucking $900 a share and they fucking tank for a year at $800, I'm still not really giving a shit about that. I may buy more of that stock because it tanks so low. All I give a fuck about is the company's profit margin at the end of the year. All I give a fuck about is how much money did this company make by the end of the fiscal year, because that's where the fucking my share comes in. My dividends are paid from company profits. Them other niggas on the floor, they make money off buying a stock at $15, selling it off at $17.50. They play that game, which is a daily up and down, up and down, up and down. That's not the game I'm in. I'm in this motherfucking long range game, long term. You know what I'm saying? Like, because you can, the way that you can acquire and stack it up. Nigga, you buy 10 shares of this stock 1 year, you buy fucking 15 of this one, 20 of this one. That's what really having a what they say, diversify your portfolio. Niggas say that shit in rap songs and shit like that, but they really don't know what it means. What it means is you have a wide variety of different companies you own stock in. Some companies may have 80 cents a payout per share, right? You own 100 shares, you're getting 80 cents per share. Fucking Public Storage is $8.50 a share. And they pay 4 times a year because they're paying out every quarter. For people out there that don't know, it's a fiscal year is 4 quarters. So they're paying out 4 checks a year. BlackRock, Vanguard, Monsanto, all these different companies, Roche, Bayer, Genentech. Stocks are going from $30, $50. Public Storage is trading at $236 a share. That's a more high-end stock. For a poor person, you only can maybe able to buy 1 share ever so often, right? When you're poor, that's kind of like a big money move. I bought 2 shares, they was like $2.50 a piece. But companies that are paying off 65 cents a share, and they're trading at 17, 18 bucks. Every paycheck, you can buy 4 or 5 shares all year long. And you're stacking up 60 cents, 60 cents, 60 cents. Now when you look at 2 years that went by, you own 200 shares, it's paying off 60 cents a share. How much is that? You got a calculator? Let's do a little math.
200 times 60?
Yeah.
12 is a 12.
60 cents.
Oh, 60 cent. So it's 0.60. You move the decimal over.
120.
I was gonna say that.
So
I was gonna say 1200 actually, but 120 because you divide it by
So now you own 200 shares of this one company. It's paying out 60 cents a share. Every year you're getting, you said 120?
120, yeah.
You're getting $120, right? For a lot of people, that doesn't seem like
Or
much.
not divide by multiply.
But those shares that you own, they keep going. That's 120 you get every year. But you're steadily buying more stock. Plus, BlackRock started off 2015 at paying $7.50 a share. They ended 2018 at $8.50 a share. So when you're buying these fucking stocks and they're rising, the value of the company, they're covering more ground, they're opening up more facilities, they're making more sales or provide more services through the years, that dividend share will rise. What you're trying to do is you're trying to put in 20 years of buying stock so that you have amassed 1,000 shares of this company, 500 shares of this company, 700 shares of this company, to where every quarter you're bringing in a couple thousand extra dollars every quarter.
That's 4 quarters.
This is the thing. If you brought in $4,000 just off dividend payouts a month, or just even a quarter, how much freedom does that allow you to have in your life? What kind of decisions can you make? These are the things that people need to understand. You want freedom? It ain't free. You gotta pay for that. You wanna move how you wanna move? We look at wealthy white people with these fucking rose-colored glasses because we don't know how wealth and money works. I mean, we listen to some of these pro-black niggas try to talk this shit, but they're really not telling you what the rules are and why you need to play by these rules, because these are the rules that allow you to win. They keep talking about, we need to get together, buy a grocery store, and we need to get together. No. The greatest thing you can do is make sure every nigga got the education to make the move. Because not everybody's going to do it. When I give this information to people, some people going to do it, some people ain't. That's another thing we don't account for. It ain't like every white person is making fucking money moves and is wealthy. That's not the case. Every racial group, you have a population of losers. You got a population of people that's always just going to cry, what the fuck is wrong? No matter what you tell them, no matter what kind of reparation, bump, check, whatever the fuck you give them, they're never really going to make them moves. Money, let me tell you something. This is another thing. There's more liquid cash in the ghetto than there is anywhere the fuck else. A lot of people have not been able to spend time in an affluent neighborhood to realize there's no cash there. It's all plastic. These people have no cash. When you in the hood, everything is on cash. The dollar is king. Nigga, there are so many avenues to put your hand on that cash. And you can get it all day long. Motherfuckers look at me like I'm crazy when I say, I love it out here in Portland. It's fucking money falling out of trees. I have never, it is so many avenues of money and so much money floating around this motherfucker because people are so invested in paying attention to other shit. But all this other shit that they paying attention to, they stress the fuck out every day. They depressed. No other fucking area in the country has as much diagnosed case of depression and anxiety than these motherfuckers. And I hate to tell anybody here, but nigga, the Bay Area, LA, Chicago, New York, everybody, everywhere the fuck else is much harder to survive than here. This shit is a goddamn cakewalk. And with all the fucking money people go, man, why are you just, people get agitated with how I walk through here. Nigga, I'm happy every day. Why? Because I don't have to do shit. What I do is fucking second nature to me. So I leave the house broke and I come back with $100. With no fucking effort. It's so much money here. You have the politest racist I ever met. You have the most... Nigga, how many cities do you think you could just go and set up a table on the corner and just start hustling every day? Just selling products. Different cities, you go to LA, you go to the Bay Area, Valentine's Day or some shit like that, they will allow you to have like the bear and flower table or something like that. Other than that, you can't do that like here. There are so many things you can get away with here that's embedded into the culture. It's ridiculous. And the fact is, all you niggas out here think niggas don't support each other and niggas are so separated. I lived a whole year here on nothing but black dollars. The first year here, I just sat on that corner with my table. I street vend, and no white person bought anything from me. I lived solely on black dollars. Tips, and it was just there. And I just chilled on the fucking corner. Because you know what? When I retired, I told myself, I want to spend the rest of my life selling dope. I just want to sit on the corner and sell dope for the rest of my life. Right? And when I was kind of having that mind, I was verbally saying that, and a lot of like my sisters and shit like that, my family thought I meant like crack. Like I wanted to sit on the corner and sell crack. When I said, even though the word dope was coming out of my mouth, in my mind, I'm trying to think of just some products that I could sit on the corner and just sell. What has a very low buy-in rate, what has a very high profit margin. And that's why I got into like body oils, incense, black soaps, all that shit. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I did. I just sat on the corner and I sold dope all day. And it is so fucking easy. Pop-ups. You got a business, you can pop up any fucking where. A canopy and a fucking table. And you there. You broke, take a fucking canopy and a table, go set up in the hood somewhere. Set up in a white area. Gleason and down there on, what's this division shit on this side? You know what I mean? Where all the hipsters and shit is at. And get it. But that's something that people don't do too, because people are really afraid of people. To say, hey, come here. To verbally make a sale, to talk to somebody. You know what I'm saying? People are afraid of that. I watch a lot of people like choke. You know what I mean? Like, just let customers pass. They don't have that kind of outgoingness to be like, oh, excuse me, let me talk to you for a minute. I just want you to check out my t-shirt. You know, we're this, and that, blah, 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 blah. You know, people, that's why a paycheck is so easy for a lot of people. I go to this building, somebody tells me what to do, I do it, and every 2 weeks or every week somebody gives me a check for that. You know what I'm saying? But to get out here and just start getting money, one thing I try to tell niggas too, man, yo, there's a million things you could sell besides illegal drugs to make money. A million things.
Million ways to make $1 million.
Yo, man, my son, I got him one of them little carts that you put your little kids in, that you attach to the bike. It's got just the 2 wheels, a fucking cooler. We went to the dollar store, we went to Walgreens, bought a whole bunch of popsicles. I just let him ride around the park with a Bluetooth speaker with the ice cream man beat on it and sell popsicles. This summer he'll be selling candy. I got a whole bunch of silicone molds. We're gonna go to Michael's. We're gonna buy the bulk chocolate. He's gonna melt it. He's gonna stamp it with his fucking name and wrap it up, and he has his own fucking candy business. You can make a business out of everything. Why we don't have candy houses no more? I don't know about here, but where I was from, every neighborhood had an old lady or a house that sold like Kool-Aid cups in a white styrofoam that were frozen pickles, quarter bag of chips, and shit like that. That was a fucking institution. That was a staple in the neighborhood. When the last time you seen a fucking candy house? You know what I mean? There's so many fucking ways to get this money. If people want it, they gonna get it. Yeah, nigga, that was loud. I heard that all through the headphones.
Oh, me too.
You know, or one thing I like about women right now, like last show we talked about like cams and Snapchats and shit like that. Mm-hmm. Do you know what it is to take nothing and make money? That's the one thing I always liked about sex work and prostitution. Like, I am the commodity. I am the product. I don't have to buy a product. I don't have to buy anything, right? I may have to buy a couple little tools, a really good HD webcam, a nice laptop. You know, I may have to purchase some stuff like that. But in the end, I'm the product. I just sell me. I don't never run out of me. It's like a lawyer. A lawyer's only product is them, what they know. You can't run out of that. You know what I'm saying? A grocery store, you can run the fuck out of groceries. You know what I'm saying? You gotta buy groceries to sell groceries. Most businesses that are goods business, goods have to be purchased to be sold. Sex work and webcam and all that shit, I don't have to purchase a product. I am it. I could take one video, right, and sell that same video to 1,000 people. There's not many products. Like I can't sell one bar of soap to 1,000 people. I could sell one brand of soap with 1,000 bars of soap to 1,000 people. But I couldn't sell one bar of soap to 1,000 people. So when I look, you know, on Instagram and Tumblr and all these websites, I'm just like, that's what's up. If I was a pretty girl, I'd be doing this shit too. The fact that if my shit pop, 10,000 dudes buy this one $20 video. If I make a bank of 50 videos, I put them at $10 a video. And this is the thing about the digital age. Nobody buys that video, right? Like if you think about Blockbuster back in the day with VHSs, you had to have 1,000 VHSs to sell to 1,000 people. In the digital age, it is one file. People are paying to copy that file. They're not even actually buying that file. You know what I'm saying? Like they're not buying that file and when they buy it, it's gone. They're just paying to copy it. It's still there. And it's always going to be there as long as this site exists and your website on it exists. That is ridiculous. That is astronomical.
Exponential.
You know, it's crazy. But there are so many things like that. in the digital age. Whatever business you got online that is a service-based business doesn't run out. It's there. You're a trainer, you're selling fucking workout plans. It's a workout plan on your website and people are paying to copy that. They're not buying that. That concept doesn't exist anymore. It's like a bookstore. You walked into Barnes and Noble, I wanted to buy this book. I buy this physical copy. I take it down, it's gone. If there's no more, nobody can buy anymore. In the digital age, I'm just copying this. I'm just copying it. I'm copying it. And the actual product that you're selling doesn't go anywhere. To me, I'm floored by that. You know what I'm saying? Like that concept alone. As a hustler and a merchant, that floors my mind. So, before we wrap up, you have anything to say? Any questions? Any whatever?
Chestnut checkers, man. Chestnut checkers. Can you hear me now?
Oh.
You registering? You there?
Like I said, man. Chest.
The rules. Gotta play by the rules.
Play by the rules.
And I'm still telling you, man, that material that I gave, you gotta get that shit in.
I was gonna text you when I left here and said, by next Friday, I want everybody to hear this. Next Friday, because those books are probably what, like 200 pages, 300 pages.
Have you finished any of them?
To be honest, no. However,
Make yourself a realistic goal.
You should be reading them too. For real.
I plan on completing them both
Both.
by next Friday.
Can we highlight what these both are again?
Which ones do you have?
48 Laws of Power,
48 Laws of Power.
The Art of Seduction.
Okay.
Art of Seduction.
So, my literary curriculum, number 1, The Art of War. Number 2 is The Prince by Niccolo Machiavelli. Then it's the 48 Laws of Power, The Art of Seduction, 33 Strategies of War, Mastery. And I can't really recommend his new one because I got it, but I haven't finished it yet. Those books are crucial. And The Richest Man in Babylon,
Got that one.
Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
And those two are done.
You read those? Now, The Richest Man in Babylon is a very small book. It's a very quick read.
I mean, the British Airport is quick too.
I love the audiobook. It is narrated fantastically. But, yeah, you gotta really get those books in. Especially because you gotta think, like, when I was your age, I had already was so deep into The Prince and Machiavelli's other writings. So I got The Art of War in the 9th grade. That was also the same year that I got The Prince. But I also was like Bushido, the Book of 5 Rings, and there was a lot of other like philosophy shit I was fucking with. I can't even remember when I first got a hold of like the 48 Laws of Power and shit like that, like early 20s. You know what I mean? The time it takes you to really look at these things and study them, get a little bit of age, being able to assess and really incorporate what it is to strategize. Because this is another thing too, when you get a hold of shit like this and you are reshifting your mind and your mentality and you're becoming a tacticianer, there's usually nobody else to do that with. You know what I mean? There's nobody else to break shit down with, plot shit, learn from. You know what I mean? Like,
I read this, I don't know if I read a book or if I listened to a video, but one cat said that 90% of people aren't even in the race.
Huh.
90% don't even know what the hell's going on. They're just going through the motions of things. Like you said, you go in, someone tells you what to do, call it goods, I'm straight.
They try to call that the rat race. That's not the rat race. Rats are really trying to get somewhere. They're trying to find a way out or whatever, or they're trying to get to whatever food. We're still sold on college, career, work that career until you retire, and then you die, right?
I'm trying to get
80 to 90% of careers gives you enough income to have a place to sleep when you get off of work. If you really think about it, you spending 8 hours a day at a building that's not where you live, right? From your commute and all of that, you get home, you got enough time for like an hour or two with your kids, dinner, rest for 30, 45 minutes, shower, wash your ass, and go to fuck to bed to wake up in the morning and do it all over again. A job gives you enough to have somewhere to be when you're not working for them. The whole point of earning, the whole point of money is to be able to live and do what the fuck you want to do. Another reason why I live the way I live is I have boiled down my life and happiness to the bare essentials of what really makes me happy and what I really enjoy to the minimum. Fuck all that other shit. My kids, a nice woman or two or three, a nice place to hang out on a daily basis around the good people that make me smile, no stress, walking slowly. That's the shit that makes me happy. I'm only responsible for my kids and nothing else. All the years I spent as a data system analyst having to run shit and make this, I don't want to do none of that. Motherfuckers at work be like, oh, you need to apply for the supervisor, man, take that and shove it up your ass. I don't want to run shit. I don't want to make a decision. I come, I talk shit, I smile, I love people, I go the fuck home. That makes me happy. I hang out with my kids.
Peace.
And have fun. You know what I'm saying?
God damn me. God damn me.
That's it. I keep it to the bare minimum. That's like, you know, I tell people, I really haven't paid for shit in this house. Really. I paid for that fryer and I bought some of those tools over there. Everything else I didn't pay for. I didn't pay for that Xbox. Either one of them.
Either one of them.
I didn't pay for that fly-ass mahogany TV thing. I ain't pay for this bookshelf. I didn't pay for this fan. I didn't pay for that table. I ain't pay for this couch. I ain't pay for this laptop or those laptops. None of them dishes. I ain't paid for my king-size Beauty Rest Simmons bed.
Whoa. Hit us with the heat.
But I'm just saying, like, I put this whole house together maybe 6-7 months. Just knowing how to network, who to talk to. Matter of fact, them Jordans, I ain't pay for them. Them white Nikes, I didn't pay for them. Them LeBrons, I ain't paid for them. People gave me those.
He said if that purse right there that you was holding.
Yeah, I definitely wouldn't pay for that.
Wouldn't pay for that either.
But this is the thing. But this is living your life by abundance, right? I know you guys all know like the secret, the laws of attraction, right? You see them white Nikes? Those, and I don't know who Dwayne Wade is. I didn't know he had a shoe, and I definitely didn't know his shoe was designed in Portland. I didn't know they were collectors. But those Dwayne 4s and those Nikes, a customer just brought them to me. One day he was like, man, what size shoe you wear? I'm like 16. He was like, oh man, I got some shit for you. And he came through, he brought them to me. Them fucking LeBrons, the same thing. Lady I worked with was like, what size shoe you wear? I got some shoes for you. I don't know what it is, but when you live with abundance, because I'll give money away all the time. You ask my son. I'll give my last dollar away. I don't give a shit. It's money. It come and go. People give me things. When I try to explain that, people tend to think it's like, oh, well, that's egotistical. You just think, no. I give whatever. And it comes back.
Energy.
Period. This is one of the biggest keys you'll ever hear about money. Money is not real. Money is not a real thing. Money is scraps of paper poor people fight over. Money is scraps of paper poor people die for. The more you disconnect from money being a reality, the more out of life you get. When you realize this piece of paper, that shit don't really mean nothing. It doesn't matter if you have it or not. You'll be surprised on how much of it you can put your hands on. You look at anything in life, when people stress over having it all, they tend to lose it. They tend to not get it. Getting it becomes a fight and a struggle. When you really don't give a shit, like, man, that shit don't mean nothing. You move differently. You can see things differently. I buy a stock before I pay rent. I can talk to the landlord. I can get an extension. I tell people all the time, let your poverty get you out of being poor. Stop trying to put 10% in savings after you pay all your bills. You've been poor all your life. You know how to call the electric company and get an extension. You know how to pay $50 on the heat and then catch the rest later. You know how to get at your landlord and be like, oh man, you know my job and check and da-da-da-da, and you know I'll pay this and then, you know how to do all that. You know how to stretch a dollar. When you first get your fucking paycheck, make some money moves. And then deal with the rest of the shit. You stressed out anyway. You poor anyway. You gonna be broke anyway. Take care of investments first, because that shit pays off. All the other shit, what it is when you poor, there's this feeling of imminent dread. Losing. I could lose my apartment. I could lose this. I could lose that. Fuck all that. That shit's cool. A landlord would, okay, you rent $1,100. They're gonna take the $800 and let you catch the rest on the next check. You know this. You watch your mama do it. You watch your aunties, uncles, cousins. It's just how it works. The amount of money it costs to fucking evict you and go through that process, they might be mad. They might be a little irritated that you $300 short on the rent and you got to catch it on the next check. But who give a fuck? I don't know you personally. Especially black people, we don't want to be seen as lazy. We don't want to be seen as thieves. We don't want to be seen as all these negative things. But all of those negative things that were created around our stereotype are the very things that get them ahead. If you really think about it. Cutting corners. Me being lazy and making sure you do all the work. I mean, that's management. These are all the things that get them ahead. Let being poor get you somewhere. You know the struggle. Running a business, it's a struggle. To stretch, to make things happen. You've been there. You done that. Chase that dream. I tell my kids all the time, you live in a country, you can chase your dream. You can do whatever the fuck you want to do. And I'm able to show them that, right? And this is how I show them. You can see a lawyer, you can see the president, you can see a garbage man, you can see a broker, a doctor, but you also can see a Basquiat. That motherfucker scribbled on doors and became one of the most prolific artists of our generation in this country. You know what I'm saying? Pictures of Campbell's soup became classic art icons. Welded trash together. You know what I mean? This is the country we live in. Nigga, the Pet Rock. A motherfucker made millions of dollars because, you know what the Pet Rock is?
Oh my God, I was actually going to bring that up earlier because that is insane.
It's not a crystal. It wasn't a special rock.
He boxed it up and just
It was
sold
just
that
a rock off the ground in a little cardboard box with a miniature book on how to take care of a rock. Simple idea. Millions of dollars. We just live in that country. What it is it's not that the money ain't there. It's not that the ideas aren't there. The will and the drive to just fucking do something and complete it is what's not there for a lot of people. When you look at anybody successful, Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, all these people, they said, fuck college. College is in the way of me chasing my dream. They put every day into what they're doing. You put every day, all your energy, all your fucking passion and drive into something, it's gonna pop. It may take time. Apple wasn't Apple overnight. Steve Jobs wasn't Steve Jobs overnight. How the fuck you create a company and end up getting fired and then rehired years later? But that's America. You know what I'm saying? Like, well, everybody, I done kind of rambled about this money shit. So, we gonna wrap this episode up.
Peace.
And we will catch y'all next time.
Love.